Okay, this is going to be a instructional video for the Blackshark KA53 cold start procedure that I've just created some kneeboards to go along with, and then this can be used as visual reference. So jumping in the cockpit right now, so following the kneeboards, batteries. This is external like ground power. I have a habit of turning it on anyway. It doesn't make a difference to the cold start. Same with your fuel pumps, and they're your inner and outer external ones, so I'll leave them off for now. Fuel quantity, that enables this gauge to work. Your fuel shut-offs on. Okay, so that is your fire extinguisher. IFF on, nav on, your engine control up here for your alignment, and then heat for that. You can do an emergency alignment with this switch here, but to be honest, I never use it. And then, yeah, crown. Okay, so that's that done. So now working across this bottom part. So I usually work from here, left to right, back wall, then right to left on the bottom half. Standby ADI. Leave your heading on the gyro, which is centered. You can have it on manual and set it manually, or magnetic, but I leave it on gyro as it can start to sway on the autopilot. Also, these are your external lightings, so the beacon underneath, blade tip lights, your formation lights, and your other external lights are up here for your nav lights. Now, weapon systems armed, and this is your ejection seat arming. Arm that, and then all your radios. Now, what I usually do is start up the APU, and that is lit there, the valve's open, APU on. I shut the brake off, I turn my targeting system on as well as the Abris at this point, and while I'm waiting for that, switch data link on, switch, crank the left engine, wait for that to pop, push the left cut-off valve. Now I carry on this right side. Since I'm going to be on my own, I'm going to be the commander, so that puts you in lead of the flight. And usually at this point I do set up my weapons before taking off, so I'm going to put the cannon on low and leave it on armor piercing for the time being. Now we just wait for the RPM to settle for the first engine. Looking anything else I want to set up, you can set up your radio channel here for the 828. You can have your signal flares on, very rarely use them. Okay, now the first engine settled, switch engine, crank the right. Needle moving, shut off up. At this point, I'm going to close the door. Okay, at this point, you can start having a look at the Abris map. So it looks like we have 2 waypoints put in here. Let's have a look at the other waypoint while we wait for this engine. Okay, so it's just guiding us to an airfield. It looks like. We can see what airfield this is by hovering over info. So that is Damascus airfield. Okay, engines are up. I'm going to lift the RPM axis up so it hits flight. You'll get a few warnings. Thing with the voice warnings, you can either turn them off and you can actually have it a bit more in depth. I tend to turn that on. It tells you about system failures, system warnings. Anyway, moving on. APU shut off and close the APU cut-off valve. Now, moving on, you can actually use that for targeting with the Shkval and linking with the data from navigations, from target points, etc. I just tend to leave that there. Set your radar, altimeter, or barometric for the autopilot. I tend to go radar depending. Okay, so the three main ones we want on for your autopilot are pitch, bank, and heading. Flight director control, if you have that enabled, lets the Blackshark be flown a bit more like a normal helicopter with a tail rotor. It basically just disables this, but you still have dampening and trim. If you were to disable them all, you can do some really, really evasive maneuvers, etc., but it's very rare that I'll do that. I've actually got those all bound to a hat switch on my stick, and then if I press the hat switch, it enables that, so I can quickly enable and disable when I'm doing rocket runs, etc. Okay, so a quick takeoff. When we start to apply collective, the nose will want to lift a lot more than the rear. There we go. So now I'm on the rear wheels. So what you want to do, I usually don't trim anything just yet. So if I just raise the collective a little bit more, just when I start to feel the nose lift, I put a little bit forward side click, a little bit, just hold it there. And then there we are, a little bit more. Gears coming up. Now I press and hold the trim button, and I am holding this whilst doing my maneuver. So let's set my nav up. So map, zoom in a little bit. So I want to be heading over to the right. I'll just get lined up. I'm not going to be explaining route modes or anything just yet. Okay. So now we are flying at a heading of 254. So I'm still holding the trim button right now, but if I let go, and I let go of the stick now, hands free, all I'm going to do is adjust my collective so I'm not gaining or losing any altitude as such. Now I'm hands free, I can, I don't know, set up, say we're getting to a target point, I'll fence in, put master arm on, your laser, which you should turn it off when you're not really engaging stuff. Some people have a habit of turning it on when they cold start, but I usually leave that off. But yeah, also, if you have like ground moving targets, etc., all that information and buttons are here. So you have ground moving targets, air to air head on, air to airborne targets like just standard air to air, and auto turn. Auto turn I have mapped on my throttle as a button, so I can quickly so uncage the Schval. Say there is, okay, so laser on, a target there off to the left, and I need the nose pointing on. Press auto turn and the helicopter will slew towards your target point. And again, if I unclick that now, it has now set this as the trimmed heading. So what you can do, if I turn on the helmet sight, if I turn on auto turn, and then the waypoint somewhere over there, I can just uncage the Schval with the helmet target in sight, any direction, and the helicopter will follow the slew of the Schval. So again, I'm hands off now, all I'm doing is looking and uncaging the Schval in a certain direction. So back to the left, as we can see on the Abris, gone a little bit past the point of interest that we're looking for, so it's pretty much lined up with where we need to be now. So the reason I have the auto turn bound, now it's lit up. If I reset my targeting, it turns auto turn off. So it's handy to have it there available whenever you do start targeting things. Now, getting onto the autopilot. So I have it on radar. I'm going to set it to barometric. It's a little smoother for maintaining a little higher flight. So if we select waypoint 1, so it's updating now with the range of 36.5 kilometers. So this is another one you want bound. So you've got route mode or descent. So route is for following routes. So if I just disable that now and I trim, holding trim while I offset now, and then let go of trim, it should hold that heading. So now I'm flying offset to the waypoint. Now if I just flick route mode, I automatically turn bang on, hands off the controls right now. And also if I click down on my thing, and this bottom right one is your altitude hold. So now it should, oh, looks like I've put the wrong waypoint in. Oh, it turns out we only have in fact we don't have a waypoint, which is quite strange. Okay, so this is just an instant action Coldstart mission, so I don't know what's going on there. But regardless, you've got two ways of navigating. You've got the Abris and the PVI 800. The PVI 800 is the computer down here, and then the Abris is like your GPS navigation. And you work those in conjunction with each other. You have to set up the Abris to have the correct coordinate units, because they are different between each other. So you can change this so you can input coordinates straight from this into your PVI 800. Which we can do actually. I'll do that just now as a reference. So we'll get the autopilot, altitude hold. I'm going to set it on radar. So it should hold 33 feet-ish. There we go. I'm not touching anything and it is adjusting the attitude right now. I'm going to set it a little bit higher because I don't trust there not being a power line or something. So if I set it to around 60 meters, there we go. There we go. It might rock a little bit back and forth, and that's because it's following the ground with the radar, and it's trying to match that specific point of which you enabled the altitude hold. Right, so coming down here, we're going to go to the main menu, options, setup, scroll down to units, click, and then latitude, click change, down one, change, go back to nav, map, info, and we can now scroll. I'm just going to use my binds for this, it's a little bit easier. And now, once we're over that, hit info again. There we go. So this is giving us a heading and distance to the point that we've just selected on info. But what we also have here as well, so if I change this to enter, waypoint 2, we're going to go 0, 332553. 0, 0, 3631. 1. Enter. And then operation waypoint 2. So now it should bring up slightly off to the left, yep, because we are currently tracking this waypoint, but we're going to be going over to this one. So if I change this back to nav now, for the map, scale in a little bit. Now the route mode should work this time, because I've programmed in a waypoint. And route mode, it'll take a couple of seconds to settle in. It does overcorrect a little bit. But generally, if you have multiple waypoints programmed into the PVI 800, you can take off essentially and hit route mode, and it will just fly all of waypoints all the way up until your final one, which is going to be before you either land at another airfield if you're doing a transport flight, or get stationed ready to attack. And then you can also reverse follow those waypoints back out. So in between, whilst you're doing this, like I'm hands off all the controls, I can be looking at this, planning out an attack on the Abris, and communicating and working along with other pilots. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. I was trying to get as much information into it as possible and keep it short and sweet. Thank you for watching.